first step is I'm going to demonstrate how to remove the original equipment fog light spar. And an individual doing this installation can simply go into their owner's manual and follow the instructions that are there to change a light bulb in the fog light. Also, my instructions, which I shipped with the kit, give a step-by-step how to do it. And there's a link provided on here as well where you can see, I think it's about 35 pictures showing a step-by-step narrative of installation. We're starting on the US passenger side, and the first tip I'd say is roughly around the 7 o'clock position. If you reach in below the original equipment fog light spar, you'll feel the cover. It's to this part. Kind of reaching around the 7 o'clock, give a pull, and it'll come detached. That's the first step. Once it gets detached, you want to put your hands underneath and pop a fastener that's up here. You just heard the click. There's another fastener here. Again, just putting your fingers will click. Now, I'll add one thing. If you're doing this job in a cool temperature, I think somewhere below, let's see, 60 degrees, you might want to get a hair dryer. Not necessarily a heat gun unless you use it with great discretion, but maybe just a regular hair dryer and warm up all the parts first. I haven't heard anyone breaking them, but polypropylene does get a little brittle as it gets colder. I'd hate to have anyone damage the original equipment, so you might consider that. So reach under, you've heard the 2 clicks. Once you do the 2 clicks, you can come to the far outside corner, and by flexing you can remove that end of the spar. At this end you're still attached. Don't do any twisting because you could damage the original mounting tabs. Just pull straight out from the body and it will release. There's the original cover. Okay, with it now I get a regular number 2 Phillips screwdriver. It's helpful if it's a magnetic tip, just so you don't drop your screws, but it's not imperative. And you'll notice there's 3 Phillips screws located, one at 3 o'clock, one at roughly 1:30, one at 9 o'clock. And those are the screws that hold the fog light fixture in. Again, it's a number 2 Phillips. Just put them in and remove the screws. You'll notice after I remove them, I actually reinstall them in the car so they don't get lost. And this way, if you ever want to return it to stock, you'll be able to because the parts will still be there. Also, the screw clip that the screw goes into they have a chance of rattling off and getting lost. So I think it's better just to secure the screw clip and the screw back in the car. Okay, with 3 screws removed, just grab the fog light assembly and just bring it out towards you. At this point, you'll notice in fact, let me put the screws back in. I'm returning the screws into the screw clip for safekeeping. For you weight-conscious track guys, you better take these out. Okay, now those screws are safely returned to the original position. You'll notice the actual fog light and the parking light lamp holders. So grab the fog light unit. You'll want to actually push a little button. It's like a little trigger release. It allows you to slide the fixture out of this lamp socket. Leave the lamp installed in the fog light. Now the parking light, just rotate this about 25 degrees to the left and it will separate out. And in most cases you'll find a conventional H6 watt lamp in there, but in this case Mike has converted his to an LED some time ago, and normally you'd see a light bulb there. I'm going to remove this LED because it's going to be in the way of installing the spars. Okay, now we've removed the stock light bulb out of the parking light area, and what I recommend people do is at this point remove the O-ring that's on there, and I'll show you where to put this in just a moment. We're going to be connecting our LED spar in this socket, And the other one that's not used for the 55 watt halogen bulb right here, we're going to protect this one from water infiltration. And by the way, neither of these are going to cause you to have a lamp out warning on your dashboard. The impedance is appropriate range for this with my LED Spar, and this fixture doesn't report to the light control module. We'll start by taking the H11 55 watt fixture and we want to tape it just to give added protection that moisture won't infiltrate. Okay, once you have it taped to your satisfaction, get one of the clear bags that's provided. Insert the socket deep into the baggie. Get one of the large zip ties that's provided and put it around the bag and kind of strangle the wire so that you have the tightest fit possible to reduce the chance of water infiltration. You want to use your knife or cutters if you have them and cut off the remaining zip tie. Now this part you want to hide it inside the old fog light well, and you want to secure it in an inverted position so that gravity, if any condensation would occur or if moisture ever infiltrates in a driving storm or something, gravity would naturally encourage it to fall out of the bag rather than accumulate in the bag. So now you see it's tucked in away, out of harm's way, with the bottom of the bag facing down so gravity will pull water out. And if you like, you can cut off the remaining of that small zip tie. Okay, now before we install the LED Spar, you'll notice there's a white connecting clip. This one happens to be actually half broken, but it still might be worth preserving. You don't want to lose it, so you can twist it, turn it 90 degrees, and pull it out. This is something else that you should put away for safekeeping. If the clip wasn't broken, you could actually connect it, you can actually pop it into the original parking location right here. It would snap in and hold tight. But since this clip's broken, but they're very inexpensive if you need to get replacements in the future. So now that's removed. Pick up the LED Spar, get the pigtail. First thing I recommend doing is taking the O-ring we discussed earlier that was used to waterproof the parking light lamp. I think a good place to keep it safe is just drop it down the wire, and you always have it when you ever reinstall. Next, pick up a piece of the heat shrink material. It's already pre-cut, and just drop it down the wire as well. Now you take the lamp base, which is the exact same base that was used in the factory original fog lamp. You line it up with its index pins. Push it in, turn it 15 degrees, and it's now secured. Next up is I'm going to slide the heat shrink up and slide it all the way up until you hit the shoulder, the large shoulder where the original O-ring was. And that's why you want to remove the O-ring. If you left the O-ring in, that's going to take away some of the significant flat flange where you want the heat shrink to seal. So it's really critical you remove that O-ring. You could slide it back afterwards if you want, but again, the O-ring should not be on the holder anymore. So slide the heat shrink up as high as you can. You might even keep a little pressure on with your finger as it draws tight, because you can shrink that end first to make sure you're getting as much coverage as possible. You want to use a heat gun. Mine's an industrial and it's quite hot. It reaches 750 degrees. The manufacturer of the heat shrink says you're going to need a minimum of 220 degrees to shrink this product down effectively. But obviously more heat can't hurt. Heat shrink is very resilient and takes high temperature, so I'll use 750. Oh, I'm sorry, before you do this, let's test it first, just to make sure the lights are working before we shrink it down. So Mike, the owner of the car, is going to flip the lights on and the parking lights and make sure they illuminate. And there they are, so now is the time to shrink it down. Thank you, Mike. take your time with this step. Make sure it's shrunk down very tightly and the full way. You don't want any water infiltration because that could later cause you a problem with continuity if corrosion would occur inside that socket. And so now the fixture is ready to install, and I'll show you how it's done. Just push the wire back into the fog light well, and you'll notice, I should point out, the 2 tabs that go inboard into these 2 holes. This top tab mounts right in this hole. This tab mounts up in this hole, and this end of the spar nests in behind the body right here. So the proper order to install is push the wire in, tuck the outboard end nose in behind the body, then you can apply pressure at the top. You'll hear the tabs snap in, and simultaneously work your way across, align this nose piece into the body and press here and here as it snaps in. So now it's installed. But oh, and by the way, if you see the lights are glowing lightly, that is the Porsche light control module. It's actually testing to see if any filaments are out. Normally with incandescent bulbs, you'll see nothing glowing during the test period because incandescents aren't very efficient and they don't glow. But LEDs are so very efficient, the low voltage it's sent out for test mode, it actually will light your lights. Now you can see they went out. The computer's done testing. Locking your key, using your key fob to lock your door, unlock your door, open a hatch, open a door, any of those activities will have the light control module run through a test, and you'll see about 10 or 15 seconds of low voltage illumination. This would be a good time to refresh your memory about the removal tool. Again, since you can't get your fingers adequately behind the spar to remove it, you take this piece of strapping material, save it, and what you want to do is install it under the nose on the inboard end of the car, and when you have it all the way inserted, give it a sharp tug, outward tug, and the spar pops out. Okay, the last thing you want to do is you want to install a zip tie. Some people have said they'd like to put more than one in. I think one is very adequate. It's kind of more of a security piece, so someone can't come along and just maybe swipe it without having a cutter. But look along the bottom, the bottom original louver, and find a place where you like to have your zip tie installed. You could do it inboard where it's already tight. You maybe want to snug things up in the middle if you think there's a little too much movement. You like to snug it up in the middle, you can put it in the middle. Draw it snug, but you don't want to draw it tight in compression against the louver. You just want to draw it so that the play I showed you earlier is removed. So draw it down. Once you think you have an adequate pressure on it, you might take your cutters again, cut off the excess, and then with something small, maybe even your finger, you can rotate the zip tie until it's out of sight in the back, so you don't notice it any longer.
We're at the opposite corner of the PCA garage. Thank you to Exhibit, and these are some nice chairs that they sent over, our sponsors. And just wanted to wrap up. We took the second installation and just kind of did it without stopping. Did it with just some time lapse there, and it took about 10 to 15 minutes for you to do. So very quick, basic hand tools, and you're able to transform the look of the Cayman. So again, if you could tell us the years that it applies for and how much.
Okay, well, it applies to 2006 to 2008 Cayman and Cayman S's, and it retails for $399, and we ship anywhere domestically for $20. That includes Canada, and for all international orders, it's an additional $40 delivered.
And Mike, you were the recipient. This was a little special thing going on over at the Cayman Register. So what do you think? And share your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm real happy with it. I've seen pictures online, but after seeing how easy the install is, how much thought Joe's put into this, the quality of the product itself, I'm really impressed.
Well, there's two other people that in PCA could be as lucky as you. We've got two sets here of spears that will provide details on how you can register to get these spears for free.